turned into, well, more than I thought it was a week or two ago when I started working on a regular lesson on Daydream Believer for just kind of doing the vocals and stuff, and it kind of morphed or evolved into a fun little instrumental to play. Now, I've played it a lot of different ways over the last couple of days and just have kind of finally decided, I wrote down a way of playing it, and it wasn't exactly what I played right there. I was just kind of making up a lot of that stuff. But what I'm going to do in this lesson is we'll take a look at exactly a verse and a chorus that you can play specifically, one way, and then we'll talk about some of the other things you can add into it. So what we're going to start with is making sure you know the melody. Have to modify it a little bit because that low C in the bass just doesn't work for a fingerpicking song. We'll first talk about just adding normal alternating bass notes to it and understanding the chord progression. And then later on we'll talk about adding in some possible passing bass notes, syncopating the rhythm a little bit, syncopating bass notes in particular, and also adding a little percussion. Chord change. It's just so much fun to play. I'm going to keep playing it, and I should get to the lesson soon, I think. Okay, don't know how we're going to end it yet, anything like that. Actually, I have no idea where this is really going to go, but I'm going to kind of talk you through some of the things I was thinking about or as I was putting together, or as I'm having fun playing Daydream Believer. Now, if you haven't seen the other lesson, I guess a little bit of background on the song. It was, of course, written by John Stewart, who had just recently left and disbanded the Kingston Trio and got picked up by the Monkees. Good, very fortuitous for John, because I think it has paid his bills for ever since, for like 40 years almost, and 50 years. 1965, 66 is what we're talking about here when he wrote this. Anyway, but the Monkees arrangers really did a great job making this a catchier tune than John's, which was a little more country folk kind of sound. And in any case, hopefully you already have a little bit of background and keep an alternating bass going and playing a melody, because what I really want you to be able to do is take the chord progression and take the melody and put them together yourself. But I will walk you through many, if not all, certainly not all, some of the steps needed to do that. So, first clue is you've heard it, you can have the chord progression just by looking at the chart and start working on it, but we'll break it down coming up just around the corner in the next segment. First order of business here is to talk about the tuning and why I chose to use a drop D tuning, which I'm now telling you for the first time if you haven't looked at the music yet. And the song is in the key of G. It was originally done, the accompaniment was done really on the keyboard with a couple of notes just bouncing back and forth, implying the chords G and D7, and what we have is a pair of notes in the G chord, which are a B and a G and a B, two open strings, bouncing back down to the D on each off beat, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Very important thing along these lines is that it's in swing time, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. We don't want to hear this. A little too classical approach to this really bouncy song. So we've got this constant flow of eighth notes, where two notes out of the G chord, G and B, down to the D on the and, a whole measure of that, and then 2 notes out of a D7 chord, continuing with that D kind of as a pedal point, moving to an A and a C in the melody. C on the 2nd string, A on the 3rd string. So that little rocking back and forth between those 2 chords is what sets the stage for the song. But a really important part of this sound is the bass notes. And in the key of G, well, G is the tonic chord. Right now I've got G at the 5th fret because I'm in drop D. An important thing that was going on on the keyboard here was that when it was going from the G chord to the D7 chord, the bass was going down to the D. And if we're not in drop D tuning, the lowest D we have is the open 4th string. Not really a happening thing for this sound. And it kind of handcuffs us, or finger cuffs us, with not giving us a lot of room to operate, especially on D chords, and especially if the melody on the D, as happens in some spots in the song, gets all the way down to the 4th string. We have an F sharp and an A at one point as part of the melody. And that just really cramps things up. So using drop D tuning here, which only really affects a couple of chords in the song, because we're going to be, and one of them is the D chord. Any D chord we play is going to be, we're going to be able to use the open 6th string in the bass. Well, the song can of course be played with just a steady alternating bass in the first place. So hopefully if you're working on this, you've already got some experience keeping just 4 bass notes going in the measure, where you're alternating the same bass note on the 1st and 3rd beats along with an alternate bass note on the 2nd and 4th beats. So that we'll talk about how that's going in the tablature. There are times when we break that, or we put in a little bass run. Or use our thumb to play this little melody that's happening there. Version X, the unknown. I'm going to try to apply some of the things I talked about. May just try to play through the chord progression, completely improvising somewhere down the line as things go, and maybe tie it back up, come up with a good little ending. Ooh, I didn't talk too much about an ending. Well, you heard one. Just ended on a G chord. Okay, let's see where this goes. Those are a few excerpts from a lesson I put together on fingerpicking arrangement of Daydream Believer, which just kind of materialized when I already put the lesson together. It just seemed like such a great song to make an instrumental of. So we have a lot of songs like this at Totally Guitars, where I kind of break down, walk you through the process of creating a fingerpicking arrangement rather than just showing you what to do. So the tablature of this only shows one verse and one chorus, but the idea is really to be able to add some of your own embellishments, understand the harmony, understand the melody, and get some syncopation in there. All the kind of stuff that it really takes to become a more creative guitar player. So that's what we're working on in this lesson. It's available as part of the Target program at Totally Guitars, or you can also pick it up individually. It kind of requires some already fundamental fingerpicking skills, but and we also have a lot of free lessons to get you started in fingerpicking. You have a great package called Fingerpicking 101 that would get some of these techniques down if you're wanting to head in this direction. This is a little bit more advanced, or at least advanced intermediate fingerpicking approach. A lot of free lessons though. If you'd like to check them out, they're all at Totally Guitars, and this solo arrangement of John Stewart's, of course made famous by the Monkees, Daydream Believer, is up now at Totally Guitars. Come visit us when you can.